Hey guys, let's dive right in. Walking is simply moving your body from one point to another over time. And walking, of course, requires movement. The only thing that can stop you from moving is an obstacle. Now, technically, this definition works for almost all creatures on Earth, except for two cases. The first exception is insects and some other tiny creatures. And the second exception is Spider-Man. Both of them don't really care if something blocks their way. But let's leave Spider-Man aside for now and focus on insects, more specifically, ants. Ants are truly a symbol of wonder. They're masters of survival, construction, teamwork, and endless activity. What makes them even more impressive is their insane ability to overcome obstacles and walk on literally anything. If you've ever tried to block an ant's path with your hand, you'll notice something funny. It just climbs right over your hand, walks across it, and keeps going to the other side. And if it's in a bad mood, it might even give you a little bite on the way just to tell you, "Don't try that again, please." But jokes aside, the real question is, how can ants walk on anything, even upside down or against gravity? Do they just have so many legs that it makes things easier? Or is there something else going on? But before we dive in, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our new videos. Now, to understand this, we need to realize something very important. The scale of the world is completely different for tiny creatures compared to us. Even natural forces act differently on them. Imagine a piece of land with tiny cracks in it. If a human walks over it, they won't even notice. Their foot is so much bigger than the cracks that it doesn't matter. But now replace the human with an ant. Suddenly, those tiny cracks turn into massive pits, like deep canyons compared to its size. That's how different the world looks at different scales. And this difference sometimes works in their favor. For example, some insects can walk on water. That's because surface tension, which is too weak for us to notice, is incredibly strong for them. It can literally hold their entire body weight. Now let's get back to ants climbing walls and ceilings. If we look closely at their feet, we'll see two special tools: tiny claws like hooks that rock climbers use, and sticky pads, kind of like suction cups. Both. Well, ants need to handle two very different types of surfaces: rough and smooth. On rough surfaces, the claws do the job perfectly, grabbing onto little bumps and cracks. And believe me, what looks smooth to us is often full of ridges and holes when viewed at the scale of an ant. But what about truly smooth surfaces, like glass? That's where the sticky pads come in. Think of them like those suction cups people use in games to climb walls. The pads stick to the glass, then release just enough for the ant to take another step, and stick again. Step by step, the ant climbs as if gravity doesn't exist. And it doesn't stop there. Some insects have an extra feature. They can secrete a thin layer of glue-like liquid from their feet. This makes them stick even stronger to ceilings. One of the most famous insects with this ability is the cockroach, which is why they can walk upside down so easily. So ladies, if you see a cockroach on the ceiling, don't worry, it's not going to fall on you. It's glued up there pretty well. Just stay calm, leave the room, and maybe call the special forces to deal with it. Now, climbing ceilings isn't exactly fun for all ants. Some species can do it, but it takes a lot of effort. Others, especially those living outdoors in trees and gardens, are much better at it. Not only can they walk upside down, but they can also carry objects several times heavier than their own body weight while doing it. And it's not just insects. Geckos, for example, are famous for their climbing skills. Their feet are covered in tiny hairs that act like adhesive pads, allowing them to cling to walls and ceilings effortlessly, even while carrying loads many times their own weight. So here's the big question: can humans actually benefit from this natural superpower? The answer is yes. In fact, researchers have already studied it. For instance, Mercedes asked scientists from the Max Planck Institute to investigate how some insects stay firmly attached to moving surfaces without falling. In one experiment, they placed a bug on a rotating copper disc and kept spinning it faster and faster. They expected it to fall off, but it didn't. Even at 3,000 revolutions per minute, the insect stayed put. This inspired ideas for better car tires that don't slip, no matter the speed or angle. Other applications include super strong glues, robots that can climb walls, and even special gloves and shoes for firefighters and rescue workers, so they can climb vertical surfaces during emergencies. It might sound like science fiction, but history has shown us that many of our inventions are inspired by nature. So who knows, maybe one day we'll really have shoes and gloves that let us walk on walls, just like Spider-Man. And that's it for today. If you got a random question keeping you up at night, drop it in the comments. I might just make a whole video about it. See you next time.